The Toronto Real Estate Board has posted their numbers and statistics for the month of July, and according to the data, it is suggesting that we are entering a balanced market. So for all you buyers out there, is it finally time to get into the market? And if you're a seller, should you hold off and wait? That is what I'm going to be covering in this video. What's going on, everybody? My name is Demetres Giannitsos. I'm a real estate agent here in the city of Toronto. I like making content around the Toronto real estate market. So if that's something that you're into, make sure you hit the subscribe button. And if at any point you want to get in touch and contact with myself, I've left some links down in the description below where you can book a call directly in my calendar for whatever suits your needs. Okay, so the Toronto Real Estate Board has posted their numbers and statistics for the month of July. And according to the data, it's saying that we made a pretty big leap last month in terms of months of inventory and that we are moving towards a more balanced market. So if you're not familiar with months of inventory, this is basically how, realtors or anyone who really follows statistics will gauge how hot the market is and who it favors. So basically what it is a formula between active listings and the number of sales. We basically take the number of active listings and divide it by the number of sales, and this will give us a number of basically months of inventory. So basically think of it this way, it's the absorption rate. We're basically thinking, okay, if everything continues to sell at the current pace that things are selling at, how many months would it take for all the listings to disappear if no new listings came on the board? So that would be how many months of inventory is sitting there. Now, anything from 0 to 3 is considered a seller's market. This is where Toronto basically sits for the majority of the time because we have such a supply issue. But this is where sellers have the most leverage because buyers don't have that many options. They're often competing. This is where you're going to see multiple offers and offer nights. 3 months to 6 months is considered a balanced market. Okay, this is where, people are traditionally going to be listing at their asking price or what they're actually expecting. You might run into multiple offers here or there. If it's a really hot property, it could get multiple offers, but for the most part, it's going to be one-on-one negotiating. You might have a little bit of room off the asking price. And then 6 months plus is a buyer's market. Okay, this is what I was originally selling in when I lived in Edmonton and sold there. Buyer's markets can get pretty ugly. Okay, this is where, only 10% of homes that are listed sell. Average days on market is usually around 50 or 60 plus days. And a lot of times homes have to get relisted over the entire summer or the course of a year in order to sell. So like I said earlier, Toronto, just due to how many people we have coming to the city, our sheer population, and the fact that we have a very big supply issue, we typically sit in the seller's market category. But if we look at the data over here, I've taken all the archived data from the Toronto Real Estate Board for active listings and sales and basically created a months of inventory chart here so we can see how the months of inventory have changed over the last year and a half. I took it back to February 2022 because this is when rates started going up and, the market started to change based on the interest rate. So if we look at, February, March, April, market was crazy hot in those months of February of 2022. You can see we had less than 1 month of inventory. So basically if no new listings came up, then it would take less than a month for all the existing listings to disappear. Okay. As interest rates started going up and we also entered summer, which is traditionally a little bit of a slower period, we saw, it go from 1 month, okay, 2 months, 2 months. Oh, we hit 3 months in July of 2022. If everybody remembers that was when it was like, okay, interest rates are actually going up. Everybody's coming to that realization. Plus it's summer. On top of that, we hit 3 months, which I remember everybody was like freaking out. They're like, oh my God, the market is crazy. We were just entering a balanced market at 3.12 months of inventory, which is crazy. You go to a normal market. And when I say normal market, I'm talking about normal Canadian city market. Let's say an Edmonton, a Calgary, a Halifax, traditionally they float between 3 and 6 months of inventory. And our perception here in Toronto is a little crazy because we're so used to sitting in this 1 or 2 months of inventory category. So 3 months feels crazy to us. But then we can see, at the beginning of this year, March, April, May, we saw a lot of sales and not as many listings as we thought originally would come up. And we got back down to this 1.5 months of inventory. The market was hot. We were seeing multiple offers. But then look at what happened last month. We actually jumped from 1.8 to 2.92. Now, there's a couple of reasons for this. We've had a couple rate hikes in a row, and people are now worried, after that original pause earlier this year, are interest rates going to keep going up? That coupled with the fact that it's summer, which is traditionally a little bit of a slower time in terms of sales. So a lot of the leftover inventory or listings that didn't sell during the spring carry over into the summer, and then sales also drop off, which is kind of normal. That being said, I don't think that, the TREB average months of inventory is the only thing that we should look at when determining how we're making our decisions, because there's little micro markets within, all this data, right? There's condos, there's townhouses, there's semis, there's detaches. And what we're seeing is some areas are a lot hotter than others. So for instance, if we look at this chart where it basically shows us where all the sales lie, about 50% of the sales are landing between 1 million and 1.5 million. So obviously this is going to be primarily your freehold sector, your townhouses, your semis, and your detached homes. So basically anything that we have that's freehold under 1.5 is going to be really hot right now. Like if you go into East York or South Riverdale and you've got a semi-detached, you can list it low, below market value, hold back offers, and in some cases they're still getting 10 offers even after all these interest rate hikes. But it's just such a tight sector. There's no inventory and buyers are forced to look at very few options. So in those markets, I would say that you're looking at, there's probably about 1 or less months of inventory of that specific product. Now, if we look at the condo section, they make up a smaller percentage of the sales, a still pretty large one, but I will say that there's a lot more listings on that side of things. So even though there's a lot of sales going on in the condo sector, there's a lot more listings also going on in that. So in that regard, I would say that that is feeling a lot more like a balanced market, probably around 3 or 4 months of inventory there. So depending on what property type you're looking to buy or sell, the market is doing different things in different categories. You can't just look at, the MLS statistics, months of inventory, and gauge your decision off that. You really have to understand how many active listings are in your specific property type that you're dealing with and what's going on in that niche market, for which I would say, reach out to your trusted real estate agent because they will be able to give you a better idea of what's going on in that specific sector. I want everybody to circle September 7th in their calendar because this is the next Bank of Canada announcement. And I think that this announcement is really going to set the tone for the remainder of 2023. I think if they pause rate hikes again, we're probably going to see something similar to what we saw in the spring, where buyers feel more confident going out, sellers feel more confident putting their property on the market, and we could see prices increase again. But if they increase rates again, it's going to be interesting to see how the market reacts, and things could slow down for the remainder of the year. And as I always mention on my videos, I think it's really important to have a long-term outlook on the market. We always dial in on these numbers and can talk about what's going to happen in September, what's going to happen in August. But really, if you're holding on to the property for 3 or 5 years plus, these numbers become a whole lot less significant as there's always market fluctuations. And if you hang on to the long term, I really do believe that based on the supply issue that we have in Toronto, you're going to find yourself in a winning situation. Thanks for watching the video. As always, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.